So this past weekend, I traveled to Seattle for, well, to see the One Piece Symphony again mostly, but also to
Again?
just check out Seattle. Yeah, again. So the first time it was a pretty life-changing like concert experience. Second time was good, but it made me realize what a difference a good conductor makes
Yeah, I got a
in a
question about
symphony.
this, actually. I was on a date on Wednesday, and she mentioned that the Pittsburgh Orchestra is like world class, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Pittsburgh Symphony blew the Seattle Symphony
So,
out of the water. It
so
wasn't
these are
even
different
close.
performers playing
Well,
this.
that's the interesting thing. Like, I think they're different performers, but some of them are the same. Like, there's a solo violinist who
Yeah,
is definitely the same. I recognized him from the two performances, but I think the other than that,
that's
they
so
do
confusing.
change. So there was like a different conductor, and I think the other members of the orchestra were different too, and just straight up not even in the same league as the Pittsburgh performance.
Pittsburgh is where I saw the Zelda symphony in high school, and it was incredible. It was
Oh yeah,
like
I saw that Zelda Symphony too. It was phenomenal.
mind
And the
blowing.
other thing too, like I think just the musicians were better, but also the conductor, it makes such a huge difference because clearly the Pittsburgh conductor for the One Piece Symphony was a massive One Piece fan. You could
Hmm.
tell. She knew. She just knew everything, right?
Yeah.
Like she would turn around and sing like Bink Sake like
Aw.
while the orchestra was playing it, and she would mouth the words, and she was just giddy to be there versus this guy who clearly had no idea what One Piece was. He was just
Just playing the
stiffly
songs, yeah. Just
conducting,
a day at
yeah,
work.
the
Yeah.
the symphony, and it you could hear the difference. It made a massive difference in the quality of the performance. And I just thought that was really interesting because you don't really think about that stuff until you experience it firsthand. But like, it
You have a
struck
minor in
me
this,
how,
right? In
yeah,
music.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
music performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was striking how different the performances were, and like you could tell that the Pittsburgh lady, she just understood, right? Like as a fan of the series, she knew what parts to really like play up. Like for instance, spoilers for One Piece,
Oh my god.
the big moment, one of the big moment that got like mid song applause in both performances, right? Were the drums of liberation
Yeah.
when Gear 5 happens. And in the Pittsburgh rendition, you could hear that drum 3 streets down. I bet you, right?
Yeah.
Like there was so much energy in those drums. But compared to the Seattle one, they were just weak. Like you could barely even hear it. I was just like, okay, this clearly like when
That's
the
a fun. Yeah.
Pittsburgh
That's an
lady was
understanding of the
rehearsing,
source material.
yeah, when she was rehearsing with the Pittsburgh Symphony, she was just like, "No, no, no, you gotta bring this, you gotta unleash at this moment.
You
This is
got to
gonna be
bring
a
the
huge
heat.
moment."
Yeah.
She knew. She just knew. And that was just clear to me after watching both performances. So I still enjoyed myself, had a good time, met some interesting people at the concert, massive One Piece fans, but the quality of the Pittsburgh performance was in another league.
Pittsburgh's built different, man. Worse
But
in many ways, but better in
yeah,
some.
I will say, like as a city though, Seattle is awesome. I had
Yeah.
a really nice time exploring that city. A city of science seems to me,
Mm.
which is neat to see,
Seattle with the
especially in
Space
this day and
Needle.
age.
Is that?
Yeah, Space Needle. I saw the Space Needle. Uh, completely clear day that day, which apparently for
It's
Seattle is
pretty
not a
rare.
common thing. So
Yeah.
like, not a cloud in sight. You could see Mount Rainier very clearly in the background. So apparently that was an extra special treat. And I got really lucky being able to see that in Seattle. So but the highlight of Seattle, I think, is the Pike Place Market. That place is just phenomenal. It's like this massive market near the water that just like horizontally goes on forever and like vertically also goes on forever. Like it goes several floors down, and like there's like a fish market there, but there's also markets for like basically anything you can think of. There's all sorts of stuff happening there, like fortune tellings and whatnot. So it's a very, very cool area.
Seattle.
Pittsburgh's nice, but
Pittsburgh's yeah.
Seattle's a very cool city. And you should have gone, Connor.
Yeah.
But
No.
you were preoccupied
I
this
was
weekend, as we're about
preoccupied.
to.
I had something more important to do.
Yeah. Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam, and today I'm joined by Connor.
Hey, guys.
And Mike.
Hello.
And the promised day is finally here, Connor.
Game of the year. Game of the year has
you've
arrived.
waited for.
Game of the decade.
For years, I feel like. The new Monster Hunter Wilds is out.
1 year. We learned about it in December 2023.
Oh, really? It feels like it's been longer than that. But Monster Hunter Wilds is out. We've all played it, which is a very rare thing to happen on the show for all three of us to play the same video game at the same time. And we're just going to talk about that. So I think it's appropriate here to hand it over to you, Connor, as the Monster Hunter expert.
I mean, I love it. It's like a 10 out of 10 for me. Elephant in the room. I'm going to talk about it now because I don't want to talk about it anymore after this. The performance leaves a lot to be desired. For me, max settings except medium ray tracing, which I couldn't even see the difference in. This game doesn't use ray tracing much. It's only for reflections. FSR quality, set it and forget it. Never thought about it again. Ran fine, but I have a pretty beastly PC. I get this game doesn't scale down well, is the impression I'm getting.
It does not. And even on console, right? Like, actually, Mike, you're also on PC. How's your performance going?
I'm on DLSS balanced, all high. Literally what the game recommended for me.
Yeah.
Pretty consistent 60, a little lower here and there.
Using any frame gen?
DLSS, no frame gen.
Okay. I used frame gen, and I think there were probably I know there's an issue when you're turning the camera or something. I think the frame gen just hid that. I never noticed.
The one thing I've noticed about this game is I really haven't noticed when the frame rate does dip.
Yeah.
It's so fluid that 30 I don't even notice when I'm running at 30 or below 60.
Yeah. I mean, I love these games. I very recently was playing this on an unlocked 30 frames per second on 3DS on Monster Hunter 4U.
Yeah.
And if that was how I had to play Wilds, I'd have done it. I love these games that much.
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, this series was stuck at 30 FPS.
Yeah. As recently as Monster Hunter Rise, it originally came to the Switch where it was locked at 30 and people bought it and people played it. I kind of hate how that sucked all the air out of the room, which is why I wanted to get it out of the way first.
Yeah.
It did. It really... I
have another gripe, but it's not related to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I was going to say,
what it's gonna be.
it is making an impact on the Steam reviews are, I think, mixed.
They were mixed
on
Wilds launch, but that was
because
before anybody played
the performance.
They're still
I will
mixed,
say though, it doesn't seem to be making a difference in terms of people playing it.
No, there was
sold over 8 million copies already.
1.3 million on Steam concurrent players.
Yeah, which is one of the highest concurrent counts of all time.
It was competing with free-to-play games. Yeah.
So this definitely, like we predicted, is the Monster Hunter game that really just went crazy.
Yeah, it is
in terms of popularity.
Number 2 game on Steam right now. It is below Counter-Strike 2.
Yeah, which is just insane. People...
Yeah.
And it's well-deserved. I love this game.
So really quickly, I want to mention performance on console.
Yeah,
so I'm playing on PS5 Pro, and it is a locked 60, so that's great. But the image quality, I think, leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
I don't mind too much because in this game, I think 60 FPS is very important. Obviously, you can play it at 30 and get way higher image quality on PS5 Pro. I'm not going to do that. You can also do it on 40. They have a 40 mode. I want to play it on 60, though.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because the animations are just beautiful in this game. It's animation-wise, it's top-class stuff, especially how the monsters move. It's just really impressive.
Absolutely.
But in terms of image quality, it does leave a lot to be desired, and it is kind of really ugly to look at, which sucks because I know
it's gorgeous on my machine.
It must be because you can see the beauty in it, right? You can look at it and be like, okay, on powerful hardware, this is going to look incredible.
The Scarlet Forest especially is one of the more beautiful forest scenes I've seen.
I figured, right? Because again, I can see it in my mind's eye, but when you look at that screen, running on a PS5 Pro in performance mode, the whole thing's a smeary, muddy mess, and it sucks because
you don't have the high resolution
textures
either, do you?
I don't think so. I don't think we have those on console.
Yeah, so that's another 70 gigs of textures, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. But I wanted to point that out. Performance-wise, it's actually perfect. I don't think it dropped below 60 ever in me playing it.
I do just want to...
Image quality-wise, it does leave a lot to be desired. And that's on PS5 Pro. I can only imagine how on PS5 and Xbox Series X, It must look. I can't even imagine Xbox
This thing
Series
runs on
S.
Series S.
Imagine
it runs at
Series
30.
S.
Yeah,
like
it's
pixelated at that point.
But I would still. I don't know. These games work, and they are immersive in a way that kind of extends beyond visuals for me, especially Wilds. With the whole, well, I guess you guys haven't got to experience that yet, so I might get into it later. But there are a lot of mechanics in this game that will get you immersed in the world, and I also think the sound design is amazing. I was kind of putting my home theater setup together for this game, because I knew it was going to be a world I wanted to feel that in. So I'm really enjoying it. But I think next I kind of want to hear, you guys are both still in low rank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how far are you in, Mike? I'm like 8 or 9 hours in, and I think I'm maybe most of the way through the story.
I
at
just
this point.
fought the Thunder Dragon, Thunder
Ray
Wyvern.
Dow.
Yeah, I just fought
So
Ray Dow.
I'm a little further
That's a
than you,
good
but not
fight.
not by much.
So
So let's just talk about that.
First 18-minute fight. That was the longest fight I've done so far as Ray Dow.
Yeah, that fight really opened my eyes to like, oh, this is what this game has the potential to be. Because like that by far is the highlight of my time with this game so far. That fight was just incredible. The atmosphere, the lightning striking the monster too.
Yeah,
it was just.
Is that after Uthduna, the giant fish?
Yeah,
I really like that fight too.
That was a good fight. That was a good fight.
It's no Ray Dow. Ray Dow like has that cinematic lead up to it and everything. That's like, it's different, dude. It's really good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And they're building up like this. I guess we're talking about the story a bit. They're building up this white beast quite well. What do they call it, Connor?
The white wraith.
Wraith. Yeah. So I'm assuming that monster has not been in previous games. That's like the monster for Wilds, or
so there's only a few monsters in this game that have been in previous games.
Oh, really?
Of the ones
just
you've
assumed
seen,
most of them.
Yeah. No, you guys have probably only seen a few. Congalala was in previous games.
Yes, okay.
The pink monkey, that was from the first time I saw him was Monster Hunter 4. And then Rathian and Rathalos. I don't know if you guys have seen either of those yet, but obviously they're in.
I've heard of Rathalos. That's like a very famous
the big one.
Monster
So
Hunter.
obviously it's in.
Yeah,
but this is like 90% brand new monsters.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't know that.
New.
I literally just assumed all of these were like series staples.
It's mostly
as
new
I was going through the game.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're all. This is the first like all killer no filler Monster Hunter game I've ever played. I think there's like every one of these fights is like extremely enjoyable to me, with the exception of Chadacabra being kind of just a punching bag, even though he's like my favorite.
Yeah,
the big frog at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Like it's so hard for me to remember these names. You have to appreciate, Connor, and I don't know, Mike. Have you played Monster Hunter before, or is this your first one too?
I have never played Monster Hunter before.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I wonder what you think, Mike, but for me, it's like being thrown into a 70-foot pool without any equipment and just like being told to figure it out. It's insane.
That's why I keep offering to hop on co-op to help out a little bit.
And I actually do. I kind of respect it, because this game is just like, you're going to play on my terms, and if you don't like it, tough luck. You know, there's nothing quite like Monster Hunter, so there's nothing quite like. And the closest analog is Dragon's Dogma, which I played a lot of, and even then, it's being thrown into this mire of like extremely deep mechanics. It's just so much to try and learn.
Just and a heads up, we're gonna have some video flickering on the recording. It's nothing bad. It's just because when I open a Chrome tab, it cuts out Discord for like a microsecond.
Well, we'll see how that shakes out in the.
It's fine.
Editing process, but
it's like maybe a second of like black screen on our camera feeds.
Okay.
It's just because it's full screen on my other monitor and Chrome opens in my other monitor.
All right, yeah, no worries. But yeah, it's a lot. And like, so I'm enjoying the game. I am enjoying the game, but there are these periods of intense frustration. And actually, I quit last night because I was just so mad at the game.
Was that the dung bomb thing?
Yeah, the dung bomb thing. Yeah. It was just so frustrating. Because, like, I think the combat in this game is insanely good. Like,
best
some of the best combat in any video game.
I think it's the best third-person action combat. Like,
it's actually ridiculous how much, because each weapon is basically like choosing a fighting game main. That's like how much 14, depth it has. Right? Like, you pick your weapon, and then you could spend the next 80 hours learning your weapon and still not be a master of it.
And if you choose the Switch Axe or Charge Blade, that could be another 80 hours on
Could
top
be
of
much
that.
longer, yeah, because it's basically two weapons.
Yeah, Mike picked like the hard weapons.
Yeah, Charge Blade's the hard
Blade.
one. Yeah,
but
I'm getting the hang of it though fairly quickly.
Good.
Yeah. So the combat's really great. I think all the controls outside the combat are pretty dog water and very unintuitive.
Like
the whole sacred pouch switching thing, like where you have all these items in your pouch and on your person, and like there's no way to remove, as far as I know, items on your person, switch them for the one in your pouch, which seems like a very intuitive thing to do. Like why
I can tell you why
things
it
in my
is that
pouch?
way. It doesn't make it better, but I can tell you why. It's legacy. So in every previous Monster Hunter game, you select your mission in the camp.
My Wi-Fi dying?
Like in your hometown, your village, whatever. And then you get taken to a base camp, which is in the wilderness. And then and then from there it's very similar to Wilds, but you don't have the sacred. You have a big blue box. And you can walk up to this big blue box and it is withdrawal only. You can't put stuff in,
my internet just
but it
went out.
has your hunting supplies in it that you're allowed to take out.
Yeah, I assume
Okay, this is going to be a bad recording. My internet went out for a second there.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, we'll deal with it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
but
now it's the sacred, but they kept that system, and it's like even worse because I just straight up forgot to even take the supplies out on like 90% of my low rank hunts.
Yeah, I assume the game wants you to plan all that beforehand. Like before you go on a hunt,
you're supposed to empty
set
your
up your pouch and stuff.
Yeah.
But like as a first time player, just going through the story, it didn't ask me to do that, right? Like mid fight, it was just like, all right, use your dung bomb to dispel these 3 monsters. So you can,
the Dashagama.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know how to do this. So I just tried to end up fighting all 3 of them at once.
Yeah.
And then like I figured out like
worked. Yeah.
I can use all of one item in my pouch and then I'm able to move over the dung bomb, and I was just like, this is
You could also discard an item out of your inventory from the pouch menu, but yeah, that's pretty bad. The menu is bad. What I thought you were going to say was riding the sacred. Because I'm not a fan of the default sacred controls. It's like...
Also, I found out that the sacred is kind of a new thing.
Yes,
right?
this is the first...
Is that true? Yeah.
There was something sort of like it in World, where you could like call buddies, which were like small monsters in every region, and they would carry you to the monster if you were already tracking it. You used to have to track the monsters down too. And then in Rise, you had the Palamutes, which were dogs that you could get on and ride, but you had to fully control them. They didn't have any autopilot. I really like the Sacreds. I think it does add some dynamics to fights. Like I found during Ray Dow, if we needed to heal or sharpen our weapons, we just get on the Sacred and run circles.
I do like
it.
that. Yeah.
I actually, this is not like, I don't want this to sound like you guys are playing baby mode or something, because it's not that, but I have a lot of Monster Hunter experience, so that's something that was making it a little too easy for me. So I only use the Sacred if the monster runs away. Other than that, I never get on it because...
Yeah, because I did hear, and I've heard this complaint from like Monster Hunter veterans, that the game is
low rank especially was like
easier now
for me.
But like, for someone completely new to the franchise, I think this is a correct level of difficulty for a new player, because like it's not like I'm not losing any of these fights. Like I might cart once or so, but it's not like I'm hitting this insurmountable wall.
Right.
And as I'm playing, I'm learning more and more about the mechanics of the game. So I think in terms of like accommodating new players, they did a good job, but still I feel like some of the things they ask you to do are very unintuitive
stuff.
Yeah.
There's also I'm curious what you guys think of low rank and the story in general, but before we get into that, like as somebody who didn't really need the tutorial or anything from it, I actually liked it. I liked the characters. I liked some of the secrets revealed about the world that I'm not going to get into too much early in the episode. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But I liked it. There's some fun ancient civilization stuff. There's some fun... But largely, I just like Gemma and Alma. I would die for both of them without even thinking about it.
They're new characters?
No, actually. Gemma... Alma is brand new. Gemma is Little Miss Forge from Monster Hunter 4U. She was a little girl back then, like probably 15 or something, younger, something like that. And she talks about Monster Hunter 4 a little bit in this game if you talk to her.
And I hear Wilds takes place like in a different continent than World or something.
It takes place. So Monster Hunter World takes place in the New World, which is like an America colonization analog. The Forbidden Lands, where Wilds takes place, is somewhere to the east of the known world that the earlier games take place.
Okay.
So this is somewhere we haven't been before, which is why all the monsters.
So that makes sense for a lot of the monsters to be different. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Arkveld, the White Wraith, is a monster that they thought was extinct, which I think is a little funny because supposedly they haven't even heard from the Forbidden Lands in 1,000 years. And like, yeah, man, if I hadn't heard of Africa in 1,000 years, I'd probably be pretty shocked to see an elephant. But
right.
Like, whatever. I don't know. It's fine. But I like the story. I think the walk and talk segments were fine once. I think they're gonna be miserable on a second playthrough.
So you said that like in our Discord, and that made me curious. Why would you ever want to play it all the way from the beginning again, right? Like, because I assume these games have such an extensive end game that where even when you max out your rank, you can just grind.
You're never gonna want to hunt a Chupacabra in the end game. You're just gonna be too strong. It's not gonna be fun. There's no strong version of a Chupacabra.
So by the end game, you're literally strong enough to just like one shot one of these things.
No, you can't one shot it, but I could kill it in like a minute probably. Like
I'm already to that point, and I'm not even in. The end game.
Chupacabras aren't super strong. They're literally just a punching bag monster. But the main reason is just like it can be more fun to pick up a new weapon and play through the whole game to like master the weapon. Than it can be to just craft an end-game version of that weapon and learn it there. I think it's a little easier to just play through the game again. So I played through World twice. I don't know. I just think the games are replayable. I think it's fun to do that, especially the older ones, because those early quests are just not fun at the end game. Not that there aren't. There's actually, we'll talk about later, there's a pretty big variety of monsters you can hunt in the end game, but it's it's not Chemetries. It's not going to be Chupacabra. It's not really going to be Congalala. Those enemies you've kind of left behind at this point.
I gotcha. Okay.
But I probably won't ever replay this one because it's not.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just so massive, right?
Yeah.
Like there's and the world seems like they're really going for like this living thing where there's something always happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially with updates and stuff, that effect is only going to be more pronounced.
So what have you guys thought of the story?
Yeah. Mike, you want to weigh in?
I'm kind of just running through it as fast as possible because I know the real game's at high rank.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah. It's kind of just set dressing to teach me mechanics that I've kind of figured out on my own beforehand.
Yeah. I kind of liked it, but I
find the kid profoundly annoying.
Oh my
God. Kid grew on
Put
me.
him down.
He grew on me
Dude,
a
like
lot.
when the part that made me hate him is when he just grabbed a freaking rock and tried to attack like the White Wraith.
He's a
12-year-old
with
PTSD.
just like, leave him
You
alone.
are brain dead, kid.
Like, see, the way I saw it, when I saw that scene, I'm like, man, I wish I would have gotten
You were
your
just
father
stupid.
instead of you.
Yeah.
I know White Wraith would have killed you instead. Because the father would be a cooler character.
He gets better. You'll never notice it if you're skipping the cutscenes now, but he does get better.
I'm not skipping cutscenes.
So I'm not skipping the cutscenes. My eyes do kind of glaze over when there are cutscenes.
Oh God!
I'm not following the story too closely. Like,
yeah. But
it's
not exactly complicated.
Right. I mean, but like I have a general idea of like what's going on, but like it's not grabbing me or anything.
So
but like Mike said, right? I'm just using it as a vehicle to learn the game and then get to the meat at the end.
It's a little weird because traditionally low rank is just high rank but easier, where it kind of eases you into the mechanics and stuff. And I do think that this story does an okay job of easing you into more and more mechanics as it goes. And I think the difficulty curve is excellent. It, like the final fight of low rank is like actually a little difficult. I think I might have carded in it. I know I carded once in low rank, which great, awesome. That I wasn't expecting it.
I think I carded during a Raid Owl. I think I carded on a Quatramace.
Raid Owl's probably my favorite fight in the game.
That's because I was stupid.
In the whole game, that's crazy.
He's up there.
I know there's some. I've heard there's some really good fights coming up, and I've heard the last couple fights are very, very good as well.
Raid Owl gets better
in the story
too.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that. Once you finish low rank, you get into high rank, and it's kind of confusing because high rank feels like the game that they were making, and then someone else came in and put a middling JRPG on top of it and that's low rank. It's really weird in that way, because once you get into high rank, it's like the weather system is no longer scripted. It's like a simulation.
Dynamic.
Yeah, it's dynamic weather. The hunts available to you are the monsters in the map. So it is like you're always checking your map. You're looking like, oh, there is a particularly strong Rathalos. I either want to go hunt that now, or you can spend some points to save that hunt so you can repeat it 10 times. And like, it's random.
10 times.
Yeah, so like, I'll see a hunt, and there are hunts later that have multiple monsters. And so like, I'll see a hunt that is like a Ray Dow, and this is how they get you to fight the weaker monsters again. But I have one right now that is like a tempered Ray Dow, which is stronger than a normal Ray Dow. And this is high rank, so it's already stronger than low rank Ray Dow.
Okay.
So a tempered high rank Ray Dow, and then it'll be, oh, and you also have to hunt a Balahara, which is the Sand Leviathan thing. That Balahara is never going to be difficult, but it is still a fun fight. So they just kind of stapled that onto the Ray Dow hunt, and you get way better rewards because this is like a special group hunt. And if I think the rewards are particularly good, I can save that hunt so I can repeat it 10 times. Not necessarily, not in a row, just like I have it available in my quest list, and I can do it 10 times, and I can do it single player, do it multiplayer, and grind out those rewards multiple times. And that's kind of what the end game looks like, is you're looking at mostly the Apexes and the White Wraith Archveld.
And those rewards are used for armor and weapons, right?
Yes, they're used for armor and weapons. There are some special
weapons. What are
weapons.
guild points used for? Just leveling up?
Guild points, there's no leveling up in this game. Like your hunter rank,
like
just
your guild rank or whatever.
Your hunter rank is just numerical for the most part. There are a couple in high rank they will gate. So in low rank, it's story progression levels up your hunter rank. Once you get into high rank, it's actually more of an XP system you get from every hunt.
Okay.
And there are story missions in high rank, but they're gated behind a hunter rank level. So you'll just like grind for 20 levels, and then it's like, oh,
I see.
Now that you're hunter rank 40, the final story mission is available to you, which is how it used to be, and I kind of think it's a better system, because the grind is the fun part of the game, like hopping on multiplayer with your buddies and doing some hunts that you feel like doing.
Obviously the hunts are the best part of this game. Like everything else just feels kind of like fluff.
And that's
like I get that the story. I feel like the story is in a glorified tutorial.
It absolutely.
But they could have just also had a tutorial. I don't know. I don't really see the need for the story.
When I was playing low rank, I kind of wanted to go out and explore these locales, like the plains.
Windward Plains?
Yeah, the Windward Plains. Thank you. I think they're beautiful, especially during the plenty. But
you thinking a desert is beautiful? Wow.
I know. I just think it looks good, and like there's like some cool cave systems that they never make you go to, that have like some cool rare items you can get. Some fish you can't catch anywhere else. There's a fishing system in this game that I bet you guys haven't engaged with at all.
I have.
I tried fishing. Yeah.
Because they don't even talk about it until high rank. Really.
Couldn't catch a fish though.
It's tough.
There's a side quest early.
Yeah, I didn't get that until high rank. I didn't see that.
They want you to catch a fish, yeah.
Okay. But I did all that in high rank, and it just makes more sense too, because the world is so much more dynamic. And like there's stuff behind the waterfalls in the Scarlet Forest. There's stuff that's worth just walking around and exploring.
That's cool.
But it doesn't work in low rank, because low rank kind of just wants you to do this like very fast area to area to area. So I did. And there's like no side quests in low rank. I guess the fishing one is there. But for the most part, it's just story progression. And
they do have side quests, but they're, I think, just highly optional. Like if you miss them, you can just come back to them later.
Well, they have the optional hunt, but it's just the monsters you've already hunted, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think there are, like Mike said, like the fishing lady.
Yeah, I missed that. But that's all still there in high rank. And there are a lot of side quests in high rank. There's a lot of like, this guy, you got to this rank, this guy wants to talk to you, and you get meaningful rewards for those. Like previous Monster Hunter games have a system called the farm, where you can ask them to farm certain resources for you so you don't have to go out and gather them. And that in this game manifests as like your friends in the villages just say like, hey, if you keep these guys from like killing us, we will gather like honey for you so you don't have to do that anymore, or like sleep herbs for your traps and stuff.
Yeah, traps and stuff. That's like something I haven't even tried
you don't
messing
need it
with
in low
yet.
rank. It makes there's a quest where you have to capture a monster in high rank where it teaches you how to do it.
Yeah, I imagine like because again, I think I'm just seeing kind of into the future for this game, seeing the vision for this game
Yeah.
more. But like, I do imagine like way later on, like well into high rank, you actually have to plan your hunts. Like
Yeah.
you actually have to like make okay, like I'm hunting this
The-
monster. I have to gather these materials. I have to use this weapon for this version of this weapon, this armor that has these resistances. And I imagine that's all part of the fun of this game.
Yeah.
But like it's all just kind of brain dead right now, right? Like you just go
You're
up to
just
the
learning the
monster
mechanics. Yeah, you're learning
and you
to fight a monster.
and obviously like the mechanics are fun, but like it's purely physical at this point, and there's no planning happening.
Yeah, have you even looked at armor skills? Because they are.
I have.
Yeah.
Briefly, right? Like
they're
I
in
don't
low
know how to
rank,
like add new skills, but like I saw what my skill does. That's about it.
You can
Yeah.
you can kind of deal with them in low rank, but you can kind of ignore it if you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
What they do is like, for example, I saw there's a skill called Mushroom Mancer that was on the Congalala armor. That's why I picked it, and it will let you eat mushrooms instead of crafting them into stuff. So like you just get there are some very expensive items you can craft that will give you like attack bonuses and huge health restoration and stuff. Or you can have Mushroom Mancer and just eat a mushroom that does the same thing. And so I used that for a little bit in low rank just because I'd never done it before. But there's also stuff that's like much simpler, like attack up or defense up. There's one called Divine Blessing that is a really powerful defense up, but it doesn't work every time. It's kind of random.
Yeah, that I've noticed that proc on me. I think that comes with the beginner armor
There's
or
a
something.
talisman that you probably have equipped that does
it. Yeah. I do have that equipped.
Talismans are something even I keep forgetting are even in the game because I don't know, I just forget.
Yeah.
The game's not really hard enough, even at
just
the end game.
A lot of mechanics.
That's kind of the big problem is like I'm fighting the strongest monster in the game now, which is Tempered Arkveld. And it's not not very hard.
So as a long-term fan, how do you feel about the difficulty? Because like that does seem to be the biggest complaint. Like other than like because most people love this game, but the long-term fans are saying the big sticking point right now is the difficulty.
It's not boring. Like I like that fight. Every time I fight him, I'm at risk of carding. It's not like I'm not dog walking him or anything. I have there's like 3 to my knowledge best sets of armor in the game, and I have one of them equipped now. And I have one of the best weapons in the game. There's a lot of potential best weapons in the game, but I have one of the highest rank ones. And
Like
I'm not
one of the best
walking.
versions of the hunting horn.
Yeah, and I love I'm actually switching to Charge Blade right now because I played 35 hours of hunting horn. But my hunting horn was sick. It's a Yankukku hunting horn, and it looks like an automaton. You know what those are? Like it's a little instrument that looks like a music note, and you like squeeze the head to make sound. It looked like that, but it was the head of the bird monster that I killed to make it.
That's cool.
Really funny. And I had to stop using it because it was like straight up overpowered because it had there's an echo bubble mechanic with it that it just heals you while you're standing at it. It's not very fast, but I would place 3 of those around a monster, and when the monster's standing in the echo bubbles, they're taking additional damage, and I'm healing.
Wow.
And so I was actually like dog walking everything using that. So I switched to Charge Blade to just kind of add a little more suspense. But when I play multiplayer, people love that hunting horn.
Right,
people are psyched to see that one.
Because it's like more of a... I mean, I think it's the best support weapon in the game, and there aren't too many support weapons, but...
the only pure support weapon in the game, I do
right,
believe.
There are no pure support weapons, because the hunting horn is competitive with every other weapon for damage by itself. You just also have those buffs.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that it's any better for support than some of the ranged weapons. The light bowgun and heavy bowgun both have healing ammo that they can use. And I think also like some other stat increase ammos that they can use. And also any build in the game, there's an armor skill called wide range that means every item you use has a % chance to also affect everyone in your vicinity. So you can buff everybody that way. So anybody can be a support build. It's just hunting horn is like, if you're really going into it, it's hunting horn. But I played most of the game single player and I used hunting horn just because I think it's cool.
God, glad you didn't have to interact with the multiplayer system.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. High rank multiplayer is actually fun.
Yeah, it's easy when you're not trying to do story quests.
That's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about how to phrase this, but I think Monster Hunter is a multiplayer game. It is not a co-op game. Like it's a lot like Dark Souls in that, or Elden Ring, where they don't really intend two people to sit down and play through the campaign together. You can do it, but you're fighting the systems like the whole time.
Right, and I imagine Mike was frustrated by that. I imagine a lot of new people are frustrated by that too, because like that's a logical thing to assume when you jump into a game that's advertised to have this multiplayer.
Here's the kicker: knowing that it apparently was better in Worlds.
It wasn't better in World. It was better in Rise.
Yeah, apparently it was better in a previous entry.
Yeah.
I mean, so, like, why did they take a step back?
The reason... this is another thing where I can tell you why, but it's not going to make you feel any better. Historically in Monster Hunter, there is a single-player campaign that you can't have friends join at all, and it was called Village Quests. And then there were also hub quests, which you would get at a different counter in a multiplayer hub, and those were balanced around multiplayer. And that's how it was in Monster Hunter Rise as well. But the difference is you didn't have to like clear low rank to get to the hub quests. You could just go there, and there was a hub low rank that you could play. So you could, in Monster Hunter Rise, you can turn on the game, play 8 minutes of tutorial, and then go to the Gathering Hub and play with your friends and play the entire rest of the game multiplayer. You will miss some things. There are like some upgrades to the village you won't get doing that, but you can do it. You can just play it all multiplayer. And World and Wilds both are more like, no, you have to like trigger this cutscene and then back out and then join your friend's quest. It's actually better in Wilds than it was in World. Not very much, but it is slightly better. And they just don't want you to play. They
hate it. It is so painful trying to play with my girlfriend.
Just imagine it from a new player's perspective, though. Right?
Yeah, no, it's not good.
Go through this 15-hour campaign to get to the
multiplayer part.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing to ask of anyone.
And even then, like, there's no good way to play with your friends if you're at different points of progression. Like, once you guys get to high rank, we could start playing together. We could start playing together in low rank because I don't have the story issues. Like, where I've already cleared it, it'll let me join you whenever.
Oh, okay.
But I would have to like dig up some old gear. There's no scaling or anything. I would have to dig up older gear to play.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like, because maybe it's just foolish of me to have assumed this, but like, I was kind of under the impression that the gear didn't level up too much.
Oh no, it levels up a ton.
No, it scales a lot.
Okay, because I always assumed that it didn't do that because like I knew you could just join your friend regardless of their rank. But does it not do any scaling down based off like party average or anything like that?
No.
If Connor were to join like a Chatacabra hunt in low rank with his endgame gear, he'd probably
dead instantly. Yeah,
he'd probably one-shot it.
Interesting. Okay,
you can one-shot a lot of monsters. I don't think it's usually Greatsword that does one-shotting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wouldn't be fun to join low rank. I think once you get to high rank, it flattens out a lot more. Like, I could probably join without changing my gear and have a pretty good time with any high rank monster. Like, it's not going to feel stupid with any high rank monster. But especially, like, once you get up to the end game, like Hunter rank 40, it flattens out a ton. There's, like, you get to your end game gear, and then the grind is upgrading that gear, not getting new gear. And those upgrades are very incremental. They're very small. A lot of them are side grades just to get cooler stuff. And there's, like...
Yeah.
So what's the difference between upgrading your gear and getting new gear? Because at this point, for me, it's like the same thing.
So
you give materials and you get like a new version of your weapon.
Yeah, my in-game gear is, they introduce, this is a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but there's a system called Artian Weapons. And when you fight tempered monsters, they drop ancient relics, and you can use your ancient relics to craft Artian weapons. And those Artian weapons, you can use the ore that you get from Azuz, the oil, the forge, the Everforge, and you can use those to upgrade them, and it takes a lot of it. And you can make more of that ore by smelting down monster parts. So that in-game grind is trying to get extremely valuable monster parts to level up your Artian weapons, which is going to take a very long time, I think. and also decorations, which I don't know if you guys have seen yet. Decorations are another layer they add to armor in high rank, which is that armor will have skills and also slots, and the decorations give you whatever skill
more skills.
Yeah, more skills, but you get to choose the skill instead of it being attached to the armor. So there's
that's cool. I bet that could lead to some good combinations.
It does. Every single armor set has 2 versions, the alpha and the beta version in high rank. And the alpha version has more skills, the beta version has more slots. So you get to make those calls, and you can mix and match them, and they count as the same set because there are set bonuses too. And so you can mix and match your alpha and beta to still get that set bonus, but get your decorations and everything. There's just a lot of building stuff you can do in the end game. But the end game decorations tend to be better than what's on the armor. You can just do a lot more with them. So you want to get those decoration slots. Weapons also have decoration slots in them. So the highest tier Ardian weapons have 3 level 3 decoration slots in them, which is like the best you can get. So, and the decorations are purely RNG, the level 3 ones. You can't craft them anywhere. So that's the other grind, is that you are hunting these super high level monsters to get the high level decorations to try to get your build together as best you can. And it's just fun. And it's just giving you a reason to hunt the monsters, because the monster hunts were already so fun. Adding these extra mechanics that you're not getting that much stronger. Like, I'm very near the peak right now.
I like that a lot, because I think obviously the hunts, like I said, are the highlight of the game, and just doing the hunts is very fun. But I do at this point feel like there needs to be more of a reward incentive, and it sounds like that definitely exists in high rank. Because like right now the incentive is just more story, which I really
you're not into
don't
the story,
like,
so it's not working. In high rank, it's also just more like self-rewarding. Like, I like the hunt, so
the other incentive for me now is just seeing the new monster, because each fight is so, I guess, kind of unique and cool. Yeah.
That's another reason multiplayer is fun in high rank, is that you can just hop into a hunt and like I look at it, so like usually I fire up the game, I look at my map, and I'm like, is there anything cool on my map right now? No, maybe not right now. So there's nothing on the map that I want to do. Okay, look at my investigations. Did I save any investigations I would like to do? Maybe not. If not,
what's an investigation?
That's if you save a hunt for later. Like I said, you could repeat them 10 times. You save them as an investigation. And if both of those aren't true, I'll hop on multiplayer. And I'm like, yeah, guys, let me help you. I'll hunt a tempered Arkveld or whatever we're rocking with. Have a good time. And there's incentive to play multiplayer also if you get, like, even if you want to play single player, if I get, like, a really good hunt that I know the rewards are, like, crazy good, I'm like, can I really keep this to myself? I gotta share the love here. I gotta let 3 more people, because the rewards, other than the money gets split. But money's not that valuable anyway. Like, I'm sure you guys have never even started to run out of money.
It's ridiculous how cheap upgrades are money-wise.
Like, I got over $1 million Zenny.
Thing you need is it kind of even like is puzzling why money's even in the game.
End game. It comes up in the end game.
Oh, okay.
I went from $1 million to 800,000 real quick, and I'm like barely started. So I think money is going to be an issue in the end game. But yeah, it feels really weird that it's even there, low rank, because you never. They just shower you with it.
I mean, the main thing is resources.
Yeah.
Like, the main thing is iron ore. I have no idea how to get iron ore.
Oh, iron ore? Iron ore you can't get in towns. You'll find mining nodes. They're marked on the map.
Okay, yeah.
But they're just out in the world. You have to just go. Ideally, you get them while you're out doing stuff. The best place is probably in the oil well basin.
I do want to say, like, so we each get 2 weapons now, which is also kind of new for Monster Hunter.
It's brand new.
What I
understand. Never done that before.
And I think it's really cool, because I'm just fascinated by these weapons. I can't stress to you, I've watched so many YouTube videos covering all these weapons just because
What's your main right now?
So my main is the longsword, and I also use the dual blade.
Okay, so did you fall a little more in love with the dual blades? You were not loving them last week.
Yeah, I like them better. The longsword is just a phenomenal weapon.
It's really cool.
Like longsword's so good. Yeah. But like I was gonna say, the dual blades, I upgraded them with iron ore, and they became dual axes, which I think is really cool. Especially because like it reminds me of a modern One Piece manga character a lot. and it felt like I was playing as that character. So
the one I see people talk about with the dual blades is Attack on Titan a lot, because if you do,
yeah, it's straight up out of Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Like
the focus
the
strike,
wound blow,
Yeah.
focus strike is just an Attack on Titan
so
thing.
cool.
It's crazy.
There's
Yeah.
one monster in the game. It's the Ice Apex Jindahad. It's like a mile long, not literally.
I've heard that name
It's
before.
a really long monster, and you hit
Yeah.
it with the dual blades, and it just does like 1,000 damage as
Oh,
you
yeah.
skate along the entire length of this
That's
thing.
crazy.
I just
Yeah, dual blades are cool. Like it's funny because the closest analog I have is the Rogue and Dragon's Dogma,
Mhm.
and they're very different. But they have similarities, right? Like, because the dual blade in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's all about managing your forms, like the demon
Yeah, the
form
demon,
and then
yeah.
the archdemon mode, and just like bouncing between those. I really enjoyed like the perfect dodge mechanic they introduced. Apparently, that's new to dual blade,
Yeah,
where
I don't
if
know
you
about that.
dodge at the last second, you then enter this mode where your attacks are buffed.
That's sick. Is that demon
For a
mode?
while. Well, it's not demon mode.
It's different.
It's
Okay.
Yeah, you can stack it on top of demon mode.
That's sick.
And when you dodge, you actually do damage now. So it's like this twirl when you dodge.
So sick.
So like it rewards perfect dodging, which is a playstyle I like in any game. I love that, right?
Dude.
Like I'm very much a dodge not block kind of person.
You're gonna love that in high rank. In high rank, they introduce what's called mantles. So you have like the ghillie mantle in low rank, but there's one called the evasion mantle in high rank that gives you a different animation for perfect dodges and makes you
Oh, wow,
that
yeah.
also makes you stronger when you do them.
Oh, I bet that stacks like crazy
Yeah.
with the dual blade then. Yeah, that's nuts. But yeah, like I was saying, in Dragon's Dogma, you have this mode, and forgive me, I'm a little fuzzy because I haven't played Dragon's Dogma in a while, but like the Rogue in Dragon's Dogma has this mode where you basically enter Ultra Instinct,
Yeah.
right? So when you're in that mode, you're just like dodging everything, and it feels so good. And it's just, I think, a testament to how adept Capcom is at creating really good combat systems.
Yeah.
It's a marvel, honestly. But yeah, the dual blades are cool. The long blade, though, there's a lot more depth to the long blade. I feel like I'm nowhere even close to mastering it. Like, and dual blades are known as one of the like easier pick up and
dual
play
blade's
weapons.
probably the simplest weapon. Yeah.
But long blade, yeah, like long blade has this counter mechanic that I'm just really trying to get good at. It's very hard to do as a new player.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
like with
that
long
might be
blade
new in this game, because I think almost every weapon got a counter in this game that didn't have it before.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they're called
Yeah, I don't
offset
know.
attacks, I think.
But the thing I like the most about the long blade is that there's this meta game of leveling up the weapon as you're fighting, right? And when your level is maxed out, you just feel so overpowered. And it really is this. It creates this dynamic nature in each fight where, like, at the beginning you feel so. At least I feel this way because I'm a noob, but like I feel so weak at the beginning with the long blade. But if I can just manage to get that combo in or like counter perfectly and level this thing up, it like the momentum shifts. You can feel it shifting as your weapon gets stronger, and then when it's at its max rank, you're just obliterating whatever you're fighting, and it feels really good.
And that like goes really well with this game, because I think more than any Monster Hunter game I've played before, there's a lot of momentum in these fights. Like if you were losing, it's really easy to continue losing a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really disheartening to me to get an early cart. But when you're winning, because of the new wound system that's new in this game.
Yeah, the wounds. I like that system a lot. People are complaining that makes the game too easy, but I like it.
It's
quite
so
a bit.
fun though. It
is
does.
Very fun.
It makes
yeah.
it much easier, and I think adding another tier of monster past tempered that like doesn't wound as easily could be the difficulty spike needed for the end game, because it is like Arkveld is beating on me and beating on me and beating on me in the end game, but then I get that first wound opened, and from there I'm able to stun him, and from there I'm able to get another wound, and then it's like I can cascade it from there very easily to suddenly be rocking him.
Right. I will also say I have dabbled with the bow as well.
Oh yeah.
The bow,
Totally different
I
game.
love the bow, right? It's a totally different game, and it's an insanely complex weapon, because I feel like the bow is one of those where it's easy to pick up, because like bow makes sense to everyone, right?
It's weird
but
to have combos at range.
The mechanics involved with the bow are very complex, right? So it's also a pretty complicated weapon.
I played a tiny bit of it in the beta.
Where you can like, I love like attaching like a tracer and then having all the arrows home in on that. And there are combos, right? Like ranged combos you can do, which is really cool. I love the dodge mechanic on the bow too, right? Like if you do a perfect dodge, with the bow, you get a lot of stamina back. So that incentivizes you to actually get like close to mid range, right? Like within striking distance of the monster, because if he swipes at you and you dodge it, you get your stamina back and you can just keep pelting him with more arrows. So like very smart design decisions just encourage a really active play style.
Yeah.
With something that in other games could be quite kind of passive with bow, right? Like you're kind of far away and you're just picking shots, not non-Monster Hunter.
No.
So
have you seen a Demon Drug with your dual blades yet?
Demon Drug.
Okay, so I'll take that as a no. So in between quests, you should go to your tent and go to the item crafting menu. And anywhere you see question marks that it will let you craft, you should just do that so that you have that item and its description. But
I don't think I've crafted a single thing yet.
Yeah, so yeah, it was kind of a misstep on this game in my opinion. They gave you like 1,000,000 mega potions at the beginning of the game.
I appreciate that though. Like
I appreciate it, but you should know how to craft them. You should have to have learned
because
that.
eventually they'll run out, and then I'll be like mad when I don't have
I still don't
any.
think I've run out of my like starter mega potions. I've crafted very few. Well, I'm also like based, but
yeah, I mean, in my experience, everything kind of auto crafts.
Right? Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, that happens
if you have potions and you grab honey, it auto crafts. But if you're
also, I appreciate that. Yeah,
these late game hunts, I'm drinking 10 mega potions, if not more. I might be crafting more mid hunt. You really go through them. But where I was going with that, Demon Drug and Mega Demon Drug are both items that I know are super useful with the dual blades. I think they make your demon mode stronger in Archdemon. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've never used them, but I know that dual blades and heavy and light bow guns are like the most resource intensive weapons to use, because to do your max damage, you need a bunch of items and stuff. Like you need ammos for the bow guns.
Okay.
And you need your Mega Demon Drug and stuff. Everybody can like take... There's like items you can use that raise your defense, items you can use that raise your attack. And I think all that stuff is why people are complaining about the difficulty a little bit, because I feel no incentive to use them at all in the end game here. I don't see...
You mentioned the tent, and I just have to comment. The cooking and the food animations are just out of this world.
Can I tell you something crazy?
Yeah.
I think it's the worst in the franchise.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I was really impressed
so much
by
better.
It. Okay.
It's really good, but usually they're like Monster Hunter World, you have this cat chef called the Meowster Chef, and he like cooks you a feast, and you see all of it, and then you see like your hunter eat 10,000 calories before they go do a bunch of cardio and hunt this monster.
Like a Dragon Ball style meal.
It's gorgeous. That might come back in Title Update 1 coming in a month is supposed to add a gathering hall, which this game does not have right now, for multiplayer, and people are theorizing that it's going to have the canteen too, to have like even more goated food animations.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Because like when I saw him like, spear a fish and then grill it and then add cheese on it, I was like,
it
that's
looks good.
Sick. Yeah.
You've seen some of the food animations in the story too, right?
Yeah. I noticed that like very much so. I was like, all right, they didn't have to go as hard as they did but I appreciate they did.
Those animations get reused because in high rank, when you help out a village, sometimes they'll invite you in for a meal, and you go in, and the boosts you get from those meals are significantly better than the boosts you get from your own meals. Like even getting bonus rewards from hunts and stuff. So you have reason to do those again.
Yeah, so that is one thing that's the only thing prep-wise I'm doing at this point is eating.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll do more stuff as I get further into the game.
What I would recommend, if you just want to set it and forget it, you can make an item loadout in your tent.
Yeah, I saw those. I was just like, this
You can make one and never think about it again, or not think about it for the next 20 hours.
But I was just like, because it has so many slots for item loadouts, and at this point I'm just like, I only use one. Like beyond potions, like I don't really even know what items I need on hunts. I assume that'll become more complicated as you go further in the game. But
yeah, you eventually
kind of full circle. needed those dung bombs,
Yeah, you
right?
needed the
But I
dung bombs.
didn't have those.
I keep those on me typically, although they're pretty easy to find out in the wild, so I don't know. I'm not super great about it, but I tend to keep those. I'll keep 1 shock trap and 1 pitfall trap just because they're handy. I keep two mega barrel bombs, which this is something people do. This is kind of high level, but when the monsters run away and go to sleep, people and people at high level like to, these barrel bombs are just bombs you can set next to the monster because the first attack when you wake a monster up deals like a significantly more damage than normal. So if you have 4 players, that's 8 mega barrel bombs. You can only carry 2. And you can just set all those on the monster and deal like 1,000 damage for free right off the rip.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I don't think there is a good solution. Like, what they have is probably the best solution, but the whole item stuff is just, I feel like, is very unintuitive because you have to go through so many sub-menus while you're playing the game to access what you need, and it's just...
It's hard to fix, though.
It breaks your brain a little bit, but, like...
There's so much depth.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, what is the answer? I don't know. That probably is the best answer, but it's still clunky.
Now, if you get through high rank and you tell me that it's clunky, then, like, there's more to say about it, but it is just kind of a hard system to learn, and they try to just get out of your way with it, because you are mostly just handed all the materials you need in low rank. The problem you had was that your inventory was full, and it never tells you to empty your inventory.
And I do think... again, going back to the beginning where we like said that you have to just meet this game on its terms and you have to play by Monster Hunter's rules. Like at the beginning, even the sacred controls I found very annoying and complicated. But well, I was gonna say now, even 8-9 hours in, completely second nature to me now. Yeah. So I imagine a lot of the things that I'm complaining about will become that way the more I play Monster Hunter. But again, to say that, like, even this being the best, I think, entry point for new players,
it's still tough.
There's still quite a bit of friction that you have to just deal with. Like, you just have to accept and just hope that, like, you'll get over it, right? Which is always kind of a hard sell to new people.
There's some new friction in this game, too, that's been tripping me up. In the past, you wanted to eat a meal before every single hunt. You don't really need to do that anymore because the meal
carries over.
They're on a timer
for like
a
set amount of time. Yeah,
it's a 30-minute timer by default. 50 minutes if you use the extra ingredient. That's super confusing to me because I used to have.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So like this goes into the inventory stuff too. But there used to be a routine. You would start in the town. You would select your quest. You knew exactly what you were going to hunt. Then you would go to your item box. You would grab the items that you wanted for that monster. And then you would go to the canteen, you would eat a meal specific to that monster. And there were meals, I don't know if this is in the game anymore, because like they've really pared back the eating system. It used to be very complicated, but there were meals that would like give you certain elemental resistances and stuff. There was a lot of thought that could go into a meal. And then that meal lasted for 1 hunt. And then you would go do that hunt. Okay. And then that loop would just happen over and over. And now that it's so much more freeform, I will not go to the tent for like 2 or 3 hunts at a time, basically until I run out of mega potions. And in that time, I will gather a lot of materials in my pouch. Likely 50 minutes have gone by because these hunts are not short. They're 10 to 20 minutes long a lot of the time. And so it does happen. My meal runs out in the middle of a hunt and I have to like run away and get out my little portable grill and cook something new because you're at a significant disadvantage if you have not eaten. You are at like half health, half stamina. And that'll make the game hard no matter what. That's like getting one shot by just about anything.
Yeah, that's so interesting because as a new player, I think it makes sense to me.
It's the right system for the game, for the mechanics as they are. And I this is not a complaint. I love the game. It's just I have a lot of muscle memory for Monster Hunter. Another thing is I have muscle memory for going to my box and getting my item loadout, and they changed the buttons. So I like sit down at the box and I mash some buttons and I'm like looking at a menu I don't recognize. I'm like, what happened? And it's like, oh, I pressed the buttons from Rise, which are different from the buttons for World. And that's kind of annoying.
So many menus in this game, man. There's just so many.
Oh, I have sat down. I've been trying to get myself to stop playing it late because I do think the combat is exciting and it has actually been affecting my sleep if I play it too close to bedtime.
Yeah.
But I will let myself. I've had entire sessions where I just look at the armor menu and like plot out a build where I'll like sit down for 30 or 40 minutes. And I'm just like, well, this skill would be really good with this weapon, which would be really I have these decorations already in my inventory. Like all that sort of thing.
That's really cool. That's like a whole layer that we haven't even touched
yet.
High
rank. Yeah, that's high rank stuff. And that's what bugs me. Like, I feel like you could bounce off I think the low rank is very good for new players to ease them into it, but I feel like if you bounce off of low rank, you haven't necessarily bounced off of Monster Hunter because
Exactly,
you haven't
yeah.
necessarily
Yeah.
played Monster Hunter yet. I
Right.
don't think that low rank counts as a Monster Hunter game almost. Like, the combat is Monster Hunter, but everything else is very much not. It's all that
Yeah,
walk and
yeah.
talk stuff, that's brand new. That's never been in the game, like, at all before now. I think there was, like, a tiny bit of it in World, but it's typically just been, like, you would do some talking in the town, and then you would go on the hunt, and the hunt was you against the monster there.
Right.
You know, nobody would be there. Although, granted, I love
Which
Alma being there. I love Alma being out on the hunt and commenting on stuff. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And she usually has, like, good insight and
Good
isn't,
tips.
in your way or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying the game. Like you said, Connor, some of the things, like, in this pre-high rank kind of stretch of time have really aggravated me, but, like, not even nearly enough for me to be like, "Okay, I don't wanna play." I very much wanna get
Yeah. I'm
to
glad you're
high
enjoying
rank.
it. Yeah.
I'm mostly just obsessed with these weapons, man. Like, I
Yeah.
can't tell I've probably watched more videos on these weapons than I actually played the game. Like,
You have to
yeah, it's
fully
just
understand it. Yeah.
and
'Cause, like,
it's almost frustrating to me that I can't just play all of them, I have to pick.
you have to pick for now.
You have to pick because there's just so much to learn in each weapon.
That is the other
Um,
nice thing about Ardian weapons, or Arshan. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced,
yeah.
but there's no upgrade tree to those. I can make an end game, like, longsword. I could just do it right now. I have the parts. I could just, if I'm like, hey, I want to learn a longsword, I can just make one, and it's not going to be
So
peak, but it's going to be good enough for all these end game monsters, and I could
So
start
that's interesting because,
really big
like,
with it.
at least at the point of the game where I am right now, it seems like you craft different weapons to suit different builds, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
maybe this version will give you fire damage or water damage or something. You're saying, like, by the end of the game, you could just create an ultimate version of the weapon and you don't even have to worry about, like, those kinds of
No,
things?
it's actually more complicated than that. The Ardian weapons are a totally different menu where you select 3 relics, and all of the relics have either attack or affinity and an element. If you choose 2 of the same element, then you get an elemental weapon. If you choose 3 different elements, then it's a raw attack power weapon. And some of the different characteristics, like the hunting horn songs, seem to be determined by which element you pick. And if you do 3 of the same element, you get an even bigger element boost. But that's harder to do because you have to get that many parts of the same element, which isn't
Okay,
easy.
yeah. So
And
it's like
then
a completely
it's a
different
totally
system,
different,
pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
But
Wow. Okay.
because of the grinding I'm doing, I just have a ton of relics sitting around, so I can do that. I could make a
Uh-huh.
longsword relic if I wanted to, and it may not be, like, perfect. It might be 3 different elements or something, but if I just want to dabble with it, I could throw that together and have it. The other thing that
Okay.
sucks is Ardian weapons all look the same. Like, no matter what element they are, no matter what damage, there's no cosmetic.
Okay.
So they're, like,
Yeah,
intensely
that is one thing I
customizable.
really enjoy about, like, the current progression, at least. Like, every time you upgrade your weapon, it completely
Yeah, I miss
it
that.
changes to reflect whatever monster you used to craft it.
That's why I'm not using
which
the
is sick.
Ardian hunting horn, because I didn't think it looked good. And the Yankutku hunting horn is adorable. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like, fashion souls is definitely a thing with this game, right?
Yes.
Like,
Also,
I'm definitely optimizing for looks more than actual,
yeah.
like, defense and stuff, but again, I'm so early in the game that probably I can
You can
pull
do
that
that.
off.
Well, you can always do that. In high rank, they don't give you this in low rank, probably just to save you one more menu. But in high rank, you can choose layered armor. So you get the stats from one and the look from another,
Okay, good.
which is
Yeah.
sick. You don't get that for weapons, though, which is so stupid.
Mm.
Rise had layered weapons.
Yeah, they should definitely add that to
I think,
weapons.
I think it'll
Yeah.
come. It'll
Because
definitely come in the master
it would be a
rank
shame
update.
because there's so many. I mean, like,
They're so
even
good.
at the low rank, there's so many beautifully designed weapons that
Yeah.
I presume you just never see again after you really get
Well,
into high rank.
a lot of the weapons I don't think change that much as you upgrade them. So, and, like, you could,
Okay.
Ardian
Yeah.
weapons are the best in the game, but not by that much. Pretty much every single weapon in the game has I think rank 8 is the highest. Every weapon in the game has a rank 8 upgrade that you can get to. So pretty much every weapon.
Oh, even the weapons like I'm getting?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's clearly something I'm missing here. I don't know how to upgrade a weapon beyond just unlocking it. So maybe there's something I just missed
It's like a
there.
tree, so it'll go Like
Does it go further to the right?
Yeah, it just keeps going further to the right.
Oh, I only see like 1 or 2 nodes to the right, and I
You're just
assumed it
very
just
early
ended
game.
there.
Yeah, it just gets bigger and
Okay.
bigger as you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not missing anything. It's just hiding complexity from you because it's not relevant yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think rank 3 is probably as high as you get in low rank. You also don't get very strong weapons in low rank. It really opens up. Like I said, the game hasn't started. It really is like a 12-hour
puzzling
tutorial.
thing. Yeah, that's like that's such a unique thing in a video game where the story mode is the tutorial to get to the real game.
To get to the meat. Yeah.
Very strange.
Like, because I have 40 hours in the game. I'm like Hunter rank 70, I think I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm like 4 or 5. Yeah.
Well, okay, so but you're the first 7, I think it's Hunter rank 7 is when the story ends. I could be wrong about that. But
so it's easier to rank up after the story because like the ranking up is tied to the
actual
story.
XP. Like I think the story ended, and I think I ranked up to like Hunter rank 10 or something because I had done some multiplayer to grind armor and stuff in low rank, and it gave me retroactively the points for that and ranked me up a little. And like I was at Hunter rank 40 and I was story walled and I just didn't want to do the story yet. I was doing side quests and stuff, and I went from 40 to 54 in a single hunt.
Oh wow!
Because I'd been walled. Yeah. So you're not really Hunter rank 5. You're probably a little higher than that, but
I gotcha.
And it's like a level per hunt almost. It's pretty. I don't know how the higher ones are. I don't think it's capped. I think the Hunter rank cap is like 999 right now, and I know you get something at Hunter rank 100. I heard on a Discord I'm in that there's something at 300. That's crazy to me.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I bet there's. Is there anyone that far yet? I mean, is it possible? Even if you never stop playing,
it's possible to be that far. But I'm not even close.
Have to be playing consistently, right? Because we're not even.
You would have to not be working. You would have to be
only doing this.
You'd have to be playing like 17 hours a day or something. Like getting a little bit of sleep. Yeah. And I don't think it'd be fun to play like that, to be fair.
You're right, yeah.
Because talking about endgame, I can expand. You guys don't care about spoilers, right?
No, yeah. Go. Or Mike, do you care?
I don't care.
Yeah, go for it.
They're like 3 hunting. So each quest in high, they have this in low rank, but you probably haven't noticed. In high rank, there are star ratings for quests. The highest in the game right now is Tempered Arkveld, and that's a rank 8. And that's challenging for me. That's quite challenging. The lowest I'm willing to like bother with is like Hunter rank 6. And those are like fun, but I'm not going to cart in those.
Yeah.
But mixing and matching those monsters, that pretty much gets you Arkveld, all of the tempered apexes. So I'm not going to spoil which ones there are because there are some cool ones that you guys might not know about yet. But there's quite a few of them. Tempered Rathalos is pretty good still. Tempered Doshiguma is not like a waste of time. Like he's fun when he comes up in a multi-hunt or something. I would never choose him by himself, but in a multi-hunt he's fun. It's pretty much like the Apex plus 1 or 2 other monsters from each region are still worth hunting. Oh, and Gormagala, who you guys haven't seen yet. He's the flagship from 4U, and he comes back in high rank and is kind of a story thing. And he's worth fighting still. So it's like not quite a third, I think, of all the monsters in the game are still like worth fighting at the end game. And I think that's a pretty good ratio. It's like nearly 10 monsters. Plus like the best rewards I'd ever seen for a mission. I was doing SOSs yesterday, and it was a Chatacabra and a Tempered Arkveld. So literally not even a Tempered Chatacabra, just the weakest possible monster in high rank and the strongest monster in the game together. And you had to hunt both of them, and that's funny.
I wanted to bring up because another thing I think is really cool are the monster on monster interactions.
Yes.
Is that because like obviously I ran into some of them in the story mode. I was like, okay, this is probably scripted to happen, but I assume that happens dynamically. Yeah, that's
my
really sick.
very first Arkveld fight. No, not my first one. But often when I'm hunting Arkveld in the Windward Plains, Raydao comes in and starts fighting him. Those two hate each other.
Yeah. Okay.
And they get into it, and I really like that because it's kind of like you get to make a choice there because you can always fire the dung bomb to get one of them to leave, but you're missing out on a ton of damage. But also, two monsters fighting, it's very difficult to dodge those. Like, you do not know where those moves are coming. That is a lot to keep track of. And that's when it's only two. Sometimes it's more than two.
I encountered Ray Dow during the Alpha Dogshima hunt.
He'll kill you.
Way before you're supposed to even see Ray Dow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was just there for a fleeting moment, and then the fight kind of pushed elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that comes up a lot. Like, Rathalos really likes to come in and take a bite of whatever monster you're hunting. There's a lot of that. And that's what, like, you asked, I forget, I think it was on the show, Ahmed, you asked, like, how it is fun to just fight these same bosses over and over again. And that's it. Like, stuff happens. Different locales, different monsters interrupting, different people if you're playing multiplayer. There's a ton of variety.
I saw a Dogshima fighting another monster while I was fighting it. I was like a quattro mace or something.
Yeah.
Early, like second or third fight of the game.
Yeah.
One of those.
That's early to fight a Dashagama too.
Yeah, and a Dashagama comes in.
Yeah. There's just
I didn't fight the fight eventually, as always, it moves past the other monster, but when it's there, it is kind of exciting to see them start fighting each other.
It can also be a huge shakeup when the weather changes mid-fight. Like, if you're in
animations on the monster fights, because like the reason I asked that is like in the story mode early, like what's the worm, the sandworm,
Balahara.
The Balahara, like there were several Balahara that like wrapped themselves around. God, I'm not good with the names at all, but like the Dashagama,
the big bear.
And I was just like, this is really cool, but like I bet this is like a story kind of scripted. But can stuff like that actually happen?
Yeah, there are some
like bespoke animations between individual monsters.
Yeah, there are some monsters that like hate each other that there will be a scripted fight for. They started that in World.
That's great. I love that.
They did a lot of that in Rise too, and it'll also be like the way they do monsters in Monster Hunter is they have like a few different types of skeletons. So like New Udra, I think it's New Udra. Have you guys fought him yet? The Black Flame?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll leave that out then. But like Ray Dow and Rathalos are on the same skeleton, more or less. They're just big dragons,
right?
And so like they can reuse some animations from a fight, and so it's easy. Like, you know, if they run into monsters, there can be a dragon versus fanged beast, which Dashagama is a fanged beast.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And so they have some that are specific, like Ray Dow shoots lightning. So Ray Dow has a lot of specific ones, but there are some canned ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, learning the cue, like learning in the middle of the Ray Dow fight, I learned the tell for when he's about to shoot his lightning, and I just looked at my health bar.
Yep.
If the health bar starts shaking, it's time to start dodging.
It's time to move.
Oh yeah,
it's time to move.
Because that's like even I think that still one shots me if I get hit by the rail cannon,
the big one.
Yeah, the rail gun.
It almost one shot me.
Yeah. Yeah, in high rank it does more. I actually think the beta was like weirdly like closer to high rank than low rank.
Yeah, I think
unfortunately when I fought Ray Dow, I was wearing armor that had weakness in lightning damage, so that's not great. Yeah, because like I don't know, you don't know, right? In the story mode, what monster you're about to fight.
Yeah, right.
So you just have to go into it, and
when you're in high rank, you have the monster field journal, and you can look at it, and it'll actually tell you. Like there was one, I needed a part from Arkveld, and this is how like complicated this game gets. I had to break a certain part of its body to get this part. If you didn't do that, you weren't gonna get it.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I noticed that because I read the journal a little bit, like with the monster entries, and it was like, okay,
yeah, they're good too.
These parts break off like these items, and like, dude, it's interesting.
Have you used like the capture net any? Probably not.
I've captured one. The Rompopolo, friend of mine, we capture it.
Oh,
the game briefly wanted me to use it for something, but I like couldn't figure it out, and I was like, whatever.
Lizards off the ground while we were running around.
Yeah, we're talking about two different mechanics. So the capture net is for capturing tiny stuff, like the lizards.
Yeah, that's the thing the game wanted me to do. I was just like,
Yeah, I still haven't done it yet either. Or I haven't done the quest yet. I have used it a bunch because there's actually some really cool stuff you can find. And you can catch fish that way, and fish are useful in cooking.
Yeah. So you don't have to use a fishing rod to catch fish. You can catch
it doesn't count for the
net.
quest when you use the net, but you can get the resources that way. But you were talking about capturing monsters, which is when you use a trap and then tranquilizer bombs. You don't actually use the capture net.
Oh, you can capture monsters.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And you get different rewards for that. The journal probably tells you what's different, but you don't get to carve them if you capture them. So it's like a trade-off. In World, it was typically better to capture. In Rise, people would get really mad at you, and it was usually better to kill. It's also a little easier to capture. If you're like losing, you can capture them with like 20% health left. So,
kind of like a Pokemon situation.
Yeah. Except it's 100% guaranteed. It never fails. If you do it
Okay,
right.
yeah.
But where I was going with that is like, you can find baby versions of the Apexes around. Like, and I didn't know that was what it was until I caught it and read the journal. But I found the oil well basin Apex.
Yeah, because like in the journal, like they say the height range or something.
Yeah.
So I assume that like some can be bigger and some can be smaller.
Monsters can be there's actually a crown system in the game for if you catch one that is close to as big as they can be or as close to as small as they can be. But it actually affects the gameplay. They actually like the models are bigger. And like,
oh, that's awesome.
A bigger monster. I don't know if the HP is affected by it, but a bigger monster is just kind of harder to fight. They can hit you from further away. It's harder to hit them because they're taller. And the small ones are hilarious. Like a really tiny Ray Dow. They can actually get pretty small. And it's,
oh, really?
It's pretty funny. That's another reason it's fun to grind them. Is to get those.
They just give you so many mechanics to add on to grinding that makes grinding fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, at the core of this game, I mean, it's just the stellar combat. If the combat wasn't good, none of this would work.
Yeah.
But the combat is best in class. And actually, I have to like unlearn some habits that I have from playing Souls games. I'm used to having iframes when I dodge roll. Not in this game.
Okay, but wait till I hit you with this. Evade window. You do have iframes. It's just like one. It's one iframe or something. It's very tiny.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And
much smaller.
There's an armor skill called evade window that at max level gets you a lot closer to a Souls game.
Okay, interesting.
Me fighting Ray Dow and taking one sidestep to dodge a wing talon.
Yeah. But in general, you just don't want to get hit in this game. You don't want to dodge roll through an attack. You want to get out of the way.
Yeah, getting hit is way more costly in this game than I realized when I started. You know, like you just don't want to get hit.
That's why I kind of hate that they gave you those mega potions too, because in my current playthrough of 4U, I don't know if they probably did give you a bunch of mega potions at launch, but those servers aren't up anymore.
Yeah.
So I didn't get them. And it's straight up like, it is not only costly to me in the moment to get hit in a hunt, but it like, I don't have that many mega potions. So it is costly to me in the grand scheme of my playthrough to have fewer mega potions now because I have to heal. That's like, even though I'm not going to lose, that makes me think a little more about getting hit. And this game kind of misses out on
especially like the longsword and the dual blade, completely different play styles, because with the dual blade, you want to, it is kind of risk reward because you want to dodge at the last second to proc that like, that buff. But with longsword, many of its mechanics are like risk reward in that you want to counterattack, and the timing for that is pretty exact, and I definitely don't have that even close to mastered now, right? Like maybe 1 in 10 I can land.
Well, but the beauty of Monster Hunter is you can master that per monster too. Like, because you're gonna grind it.
Like exactly, yeah, it is a per monster thing because they all have different animations. But I imagine when you master that, you must feel like a god because like you're just parrying everything,
hitting a
and leveling your weapon up
with a monster is probably the most fun and hype moments you can have in a fight.
Yeah, I've seen a video of that.
Clash with the alpha dog.
Yeah, with the charge blade, it's kind of easy because all you have to do is get a perfect guard.
Well, I was gonna say only certain weapons can do that, right?
No, because I don't know if it's all of them, but most of them
I think you have to have a shield.
No, because greatsword
can,
and
but
hunting horn can.
But like, I don't think long blade and dual blade can.
I don't know.
From what I've played them, from what I've seen,
it wouldn't make sense so much because you don't have like I don't know what that would look like for you. Because
if you have a guard functionality,
I think you have to have a guard.
You
like,
don't have to
not necessarily. Not necessarily a shield, but like a guard.
You have to have a guard or an offset attack. So with it's called offset melody. Not all hunting horns have it, but it's a move where you like get you have to charge it up with notes like every other song. But then you can like hold your hunting horn back and you have like 5 seconds you can hold it back to time it to the attack. And you have to hit the monster at the same time they're hitting you. And you get like a big offset counter attack. Just like the
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's sick. So sick. It's way easier to do with the charge blade because you can do a perfect guard, which is fairly strict. But there's also a chance of it just happening randomly because a lot of your moves with charge blade end with your shield facing the monster. and any of those count as a block
There's
as well.
a lot of innate guard in Charge Blade sword mode, which makes it so safe to charge up your sword.
It's such a fun weapon.
Like, taking damage as Charge Blade is something that doesn't happen a lot, and when you do take damage, it's greatly reduced as long as you're dumping charge into your shield.
You got that shield, yeah. I actually, like, speaking of, like, some cool builds you can do in this game, the reason I had to stop using that hunting horn build was because I got some decorations. I don't remember what the skill was called, but it was essentially that, you know, when you get hurt and you have that red HP, that you can heal that over time. And I had a skill that as long as I had some of that, it was called, like, Furor or something, or maybe, like, Counterattack? I forget. I think Counterattack is when you get knocked back, you get an attack bonus, and I had that, and I had one that as long as you had red HP, you got a bonus. So what I would do is I would slap down one of those healing circles, and I had, like, high recovery and high medicine, and I think medicine affected the healing circle. And so I would slap that on the monster, and I just let him hit me, because I knew I would heal it. And as long as I had some red HP, I'm dealing, like, 20% more damage or something, like way more damage, and I'm just rocking them with this hunting horn. And hunting horn deals a similar amount of KO, like knockout damage, as a hammer. So I'm just hitting them in the face over and over again, constantly knocking them over, letting myself take a couple of hits, largely not having to heal because of my healing. It was just too easy. I had to switch off of it. It was too goated. Too godlike a build.
Yeah, but I love that that kind of variety is in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm usually a person that values the, like, I want to go for the mechanics over planning a build, right? Like, I want to just master a weapon, but this game does have both, yeah.
It's such a big way.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying the longsword and the dual blade. I do want to dabble with some of the other weapons, but there's just so, like, it's hard to do that, right? Like, I have dabbled with the bow, but, like, 3 might be the max I can do right now.
Yeah.
It's I'm kind of
fragmenting
since I am
too much.
playing Charge Blade, I haven't even picked out a secondary yet.
Yeah.
That's probably the better way to do it, honestly.
To dedicate to the Charge Blade until I even think about a secondary, but I'm probably leaning towards Lance or something even more defensive.
Lance is fun. Yeah. You might like Gun Lance too.
Yeah, I have a Gun Lance.
Gun Lance seems really, just as a concept, seems so sick.
Yeah.
Gun Lance, the problem with Gun Lance is that it is slow. You are a tank. Yeah. But, like, every time the monster moves, you have to put the weapon away.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like, this game, you're supposed to kind of be slow. Like, even the fast weapons aren't as fast as, like, I kind of expected them. Like, obviously, dual blade is very fast.
Yeah. That's one of the
But you still kind of have that slow dodge, unless you perfect dodge. Then your dodge is really fast. But
one of the high skill things you kind of have to learn in Monster Hunter is when to sheath your weapon. It's something a lot of new players don't get.
Right, so you can heal, right?
Not just to heal, but, like, if the monster is far away from you, you shouldn't have your weapon out. It's just not valuable to you.
Because you move slower.
Yeah, and there are certain skills that make you do more damage on a draw attack. So, like, if Raydal goes into the air, unless you're, like, Hunting Horn or Dual Blade, which are two of the fastest weapons, you should probably sheath it. It's just not valuable to you to have it out anymore. Depending on how, you know, there's, like, skills that make you sheath and unsheath faster. You know, you just gotta learn the weapon, you know, learn those situations. But that's just something you, like, in a Souls game, for instance, you don't put your weapon away.
No.
Yeah. It's just another, like, state change that you have to be thinking about. You know, do you want to use your slinger? You have to sheath your weapon for that. Unless you're on Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield can use items or the slinger without putting...
Right, I saw that.
Yeah. So...
Such a complicated game, man.
It's crazy. So much. And...
Sword and Shield is also one of the only weapons that can, like, really easily do, like, blunt or sharp damage. And, like, blunt damage can break horns, sharp damage can cut tails.
Stun, right?
Yeah, and stun, and knock out the monster. Whereas sharp damage is great for cutting off tails and stuff like that. And, like, cutting off tails is good for a million reasons. It makes the monster weaker, typically. Like, they don't have those attacks as well anymore. But there's also, like...
And you get the parts.
Yeah, you get parts, like monster parts from cutting the tail. You can get those from carves, but it's, like, way more likely if you cut off the tail.
Yeah, getting a tail slice is honestly some of the most...
Feels so good. Especially with the longsword. I've seen
we got one on Raydal last night.
Yeah, I cut off Raydal's tail with the longsword.
So
it was awesome.
Like, my girlfriend's been playing dual blades. I've been playing charge blade. And we have two separate, wildly different play styles. Like, I kind of want to be in the front of the monster taking damage. Yeah. She doesn't. If she gets hit, she's gonna die.
Yeah, so that's great.
If I get hit while in guard, I'm just gonna take a little bit of damage and continue doing damage.
That's why the multiplayer is so good in this game. Like, I get when it works. Like, I get that the story multiplayer has been extremely frustrating for you guys. I don't actually know how bad it is. I was watching.
We've figured out a system where we get into a fight, quit out of the fight, start the fight again, and then go through the invites there. Yeah, it works perfectly fine.
So it's like just a little annoying.
Yeah, the invite system's a little iffy. Yeah. Where when you accept an invite to a quest, you will get whisked right back to the base camp or the nearest pop-up camp.
Right.
So by us both going to base camp, we both start at very similar places.
Spot. Yeah.
When the quest starts.
That makes sense.
So we kind of meet there afterwards.
There's like some other cool stuff you can do. I want to start one for Game Talk to let anybody in the audience that wants to join as well. But there's a guild system. Of course, they called it squads for some reason, but you can start a squad, and as long as somebody has the key to join, you can join what's called a squad lobby, which is just if you guys happen to be in the same town at the same time, no matter where you are in the progression, you'll see each other.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that a lot.
And also, like, when you talk to Alma, when you go to post a quest, you can just see what quests people in your lobby are doing right now. And you can just join them if you want. They don't have to invite you or anything, as long as you're in the same lobby, which like can happen and if you don't have it turned off, but people don't typically do it on story quests. But I have actually been doing that a good bit in the end game too. I'll just look at the lobby quest, and if somebody's doing something that looks fun to me, I'll just hop in, help them out with randos.
Yeah, that's a whole side I've not even touched. I've not done any multiplayer yet with this game, so
I'd love to.
Looking forward to doing that.
I have not hunted
Gotta beat that story mode first, though.
I haven't hunted a monster with a person that I know since... Like I've hunted some with a little bit of... I'm in the Pittsburgh Hunters Guild Discord. I like those guys. I've hunted with them, but they're not like... they're my Monster Hunter friends, you know? That's still kind of... Yeah, they're not old friends. Yeah. I haven't hunted with somebody I know since college in Monster Hunter 4. Not really.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's gonna happen. Yeah, you just gotta give us some time to get through the story.
Well, I got the low rank gear. I can hop in whenever, but I get wanting to do the story by yourself, Ahmed. I like to hunt every monster by myself first, to get the experience. Yeah,
I don't know if I feel that way. I just want to get through the story first. Like I just feel like once that's done, I want to really just dive into the game proper.
You hunt pretty much. I think I only know 3 monsters that are new in high rank. You hunt pretty much every single monster along the story.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And like they continue. I mean, they're going to continue to add more monsters to the game.
Yeah,
probably new biomes too.
Title update 1. I think we're already getting at least one.
Oh yeah, okay.
We are getting Mizutsune. We know that for sure. We are getting Mizutsune in April.
Teased of another one.
They teased another one, and they said, I don't know if it was another monster, because they said a monster stronger than tempered, and that's very difficult to interpret, because I would love...
Is that a whole class of monster?
Tempered. Any monster can be tempered. What a tempered monster is a battle-tempered monster. It's one that has survived a bunch of fights. That's the lore. There's no simulation of that, but it's just...
Imagine though.
This is just like this monster is harder.
Craziest thing ever.
It is covered in scars, which is the aesthetic difference. It has more HP, it does more damage. It's more fun to fight at the end game. I would
imagine like a nemesis system thing for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Sick.
They freaking patented it. Now no one can use it, and they closed the studio. So it's just like forbidden technology now.
But I hope like there were arch-tempered monsters in Monster Hunter World, but they were only Elder Dragons, and there are no Elder Dragons in this game, which is kind of weird. This is the first Monster Hunter game that I know of that doesn't have any Elder Dragons. They just didn't do it, which I like, because, I don't know, it's just different. But every monster can be captured. Elder Dragons can't be captured. But I would love for them to just add another class that like makes some of these weaker monsters worth fighting for me again, and maybe even makes like a super hard version of the ones that are worth fighting now. Something I can use this sword on that I've like spent all this time upgrading and everything. I would love a monster that is so hard that I need to use every mechanic in the game to fight it. And I know I'll get that eventually, because this game will get a Master Rank expansion eventually. And that's when you usually get this stuff.
Yeah. I've heard of this
Master Rank
before.
Yeah, so like Sunbreak and Iceborne, the DLCs for World and Rise, were Master Rank. And it's usually the size of low and high rank combined, but it's all hard.
Yeah, Sunbreak an Iceborne, I mean, like, I always hear that's the best part of those games too.
Yeah.
So I imagine something similar will happen with Wild.
It's the second pass. It's like the Crash Bandicoot 2. It's when they like, all right, we've seen these mechanics, we've seen what people love about them, we've seen what people don't love so much. Now let's like really, really send it. Let's really do it. And that'll be a year or two from now. So that'll double the monster roster too. That'll be another
that's exciting.
30 on the low end. We'll probably get up to nearly 40 with title updates, something like that. And then we'll get a DLC that'll get us up to like, another 30 on top of that. And then we'll get another few with title updates for the DLC typically. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's a great game. A little frustrating for newcomers, but I think that's just part of the process. I don't mind it.
My greatest frustration with it is that it's not very cozy. Every other Monster Hunter game has like a cozy village that you get to hang out in.
I feel like the camps
they're fine. They're like,
but I mean, I have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, they're so ramshackle. They're so put together. I think that's why they're like prioritizing the Gathering Hub in Title Update 1. People are theorizing that's going to be like an airship floating above the Forbidden Land so that you can like quickly deploy anywhere.
Oh, wow.
That's just a theory. There's no reason to believe that, but like they've done it before. GU had an airship, Generations Ultimate. And like they show airships in the cutscenes of this game. So it's believable that the guild would send an airship that is like your moving base of operations. And then it becomes Fortnite. Which I would play.
The goal of every AAA game in 2025.
Oh, I also want to point out, I know we're like getting kind of long in the long episode right now. This is not an open world game.
You don't think so?
It's just kind of not.
Is it not?
Like you can't.
I mean, like the different biomes are hidden behind like invisible loading screens, right? You're like, there's very clearly like a transition.
There
point
is no.
Where
I
it's
have
loading
never
the next
walked from one biome to another.
I have.
I just haven't done it. I've had no reason to. Like
you don't have to, but you can.
You can, but it's like you can't see the monsters in another biome from one. And like I don't even typically walk like very frequently in the end game. I'm looking at all of the different biomes to see what monsters there are. I pick one, I make a quest, I hunt it. It's very similar to the loop of the old games.
Right.
I don't typically just walk to the monster.
But just the fact that you can, I think, adds this level of immersion to it.
But it's also not, you can't go anywhere from the beginning, which is kind of my definition of open world now. Like, you're gated every step of the way. You can't, like, walk to the end of the game at the beginning. Somebody will stop you.
Right, because, you're gated by the story, which is, like, if the story wasn't there, then you presumably would be able to.
There are areas you can't walk to. There are areas behind cutscenes, and there's actually one monster that is not in the open world. It's in, like, its own thing. Like it's a set piece every time you fight it, and it's fun. And then there's also an arena-ish area. It's called the Wounded Hollow, and it's not an arena anymore because I think they were trying to get away from in Monster Hunter World. If you captured a monster, you could hunt it in the arena, which is just kind of messed up,
kind of cruel. Yeah,
it was like it was a Roman arena sort of thing, or Roman Colosseum.
Yeah,
not great. So this time there is an area that they have put traps and stuff into because monsters keep going there, is the mythos. And you don't control what monster is there. You just can look and see what monster happens to be there right now and go fight it. Because it's like a holy ground you're trying to protect. And so it has all this stuff. I don't know. The lore's, it's arena fights, and it's fun. And it's like, those monsters don't run away. So those fights are a little different because the area is so small.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole running away thing, I know that's like a Monster Hunter staple. I don't know if I'm too crazy about it, but
at least
I guess it does give a nice
beta
break to the fight where you can like resharpen, and like I usually switch weapons when it runs so I can get some more variety in.
I just feel so strong, like I've scared it off, like it's on its last legs. It also gives you an indicator of how healthy the monster is. You can look at the animations. And like
also like there's no tracking in this game, right? It just shows you where to go.
There is one mission
I assume
yeah. There's like you have to track the apex in the oil well basin, and it really threw me off because I hadn't had to do it at all. And then they never asked me to
I
do
feel
it
like
again.
that should be in the game. I just feel like that's an important part of the whole experience.
It feels like they replaced
kind of wondering why they streamlined that so much.
They replaced it with the walk and talk stuff, and that I don't.
Yeah.
The problem with the tracking was that there were times if you just straight up didn't know where to go, especially with how big these maps are, you could be wandering for a really long time, and that's probably why they took it out.
Yeah, probably just to make things more streamlined. But
like, you could be
I don't know,
wandering longer than
like
you hunt.
I think it adds to the immersion. Like, obviously, you're gonna have to track something before you hunt it. So
the thing that's missing for me that I really wish they would do is that, like, they introduced all these systems to, like, hunt progressively, and like the link environments and stuff where you can invite people to your open world and hunt with them. But there's not really that much incentive to do it. I wish if I just did, like, I wish they could give you an incentive to stay in one area for a while and just keep hunting, and like stronger and stronger stuff with better rewards would appear. And that feels like a pretty easy addition, so I bet we get that in a title update. But right now, there's no consequence to just bouncing between the different areas. But I would love to, like, me and the boys set up in the oil well basin, and we're just like, this is our turf. You get out of here, you filthy monsters.
yeah.
And that would give me an incentive to hunt the lower level stuff because I'm hunting it to make the higher level stuff appear. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure whatever Capcom comes up with will be compelling.
Yeah, me too.
But this is just the latest in their string of complete bangers. You know, like, Capcom is at the top right now. I don't think there is a better, more consistent developer out there. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm looking forward to playing more. Looking forward to finally getting to the real game,
yeah, I know.
as it were.
I want to... Yeah, we got to hop in multiplayer when you do. I'm itching for it.
All right, any final thoughts?
No.
Game good. Game good.
Game good.
Game of the year 2025. Which I do, like, I say that in jest a lot, but right now it's looking really good.
Oh, I mean, it's a strong contender.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's got a 90, I think, on Metacritic too.
Which I think is right for it.
A 90 plus is always, to me, like a must-play game.
A 90 to me, and Monster Hunter, I think, is a 90 made up of, like, 10s and 7s. Like, if you're not, like, really hot on it, it's still so good it's a 7. But I am really hot on it, and it's a 10 for me.
Yeah. I mean, I really like this game. I think I will like it a lot more once I'm past the story.
I think so too.
But yeah, that's our Monster Hunter episode. Long time coming, finally happened, and yeah, it's crazy like that this game is finally here. We have been talking about it for forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I talked about it a lot.
Yeah, you talked about it a lot. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and
all the other ones.
Blue Sky. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Blue Sky. Yeah.
And you can click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. And please like, rate, and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
See you guys next week.
Yeah, see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.